In our last video, Bitcoin had pulled back to its 20-day moving average after running into resistance of its 50-day moving average. In that video, we said that the recent change in the market's character meant that there's a good chance we'll break out above the 50-day moving average and possibly to new swing highs. And that's exactly what has happened since our last video. Bitcoin's broken out to a new swing high and is now firmly above its 50-day moving average. Ethereum's also heating up with the altcoin market taking off. However, Bitcoin is now testing a key resistance level of its prior highs from August. What happens next for Bitcoin and the hot altcoin market? Well, tune into our video where we dive in and take a look at the charts to see what may be next for crypto. Before we dive in, don't forget to press that like button and be sure to subscribe to ensure you never miss out on another crypto video. First, let's rewind back to take a look at how things have progressed since our last video. On September 26th, Bitcoin looked like this. It had rallied into resistance of its 50-day moving average, this red line, and was spending 3 days holding to support of its 20-day moving average. Now, in that video, we said that previous rally attempts had stalled. You can see here in late August, we got a big rally, and 2 days later it failed. Another rally a week later that failed. We had this sell-off here that undercut the lows. And just to refresh your mind here, we had this undercut of a month-long range. And you may recall we said that this undercut is important because it runs stops and has the ability to absorb overhead supply. So we said this move right here, where we undercut the lows, could indicate an impetus for the bulls to actually return to the market. And that's what happened. And we noticed when we bounced off that reversal bar that there was a change of character in the market. Instead of the sellers immediately selling into the first bounce, the market held up, and more importantly, we started to see some constructive price action in the altcoin market as well. And because of that change in price action, we noticed there was a big change in market sentiment and market character. And that's why we said this time may be different, and Bitcoin could break out above its 50-day moving average. And if it did so, then we could look at a potential breakout to form a higher high in September. And let's take a look, and that's exactly what happened. 2 days later, we broke out above this 50-day moving average on increasing volume. And just yesterday, we broke out above the prior swing high to a new swing high. And now, however, we're testing a key resistance level of the high of August 29th. Now, currently, Bitcoin is trading above that level, but often we get a little probe above resistance levels before the price action comes back in. So from here, there's three possible scenarios that could happen in Bitcoin. And let's take a look at what those scenarios may be. First scenario is that we may simply continue higher without much of a pause. Now, often when you get a big resistance level, you'll get a shakeout before we move higher. So this is one scenario that's possible, but may not happen. But if we get a rally higher without a pullback, then we will look to buy the first pullback to support of this breakout level. Remember in technical analysis that a prior level of resistance becomes the new support after the resistance is broken. So we don't chase the Morpheus trading strategy. We don't chase prices. We wait for pullbacks if we don't get the breakout. So in this case, if we get a little rally higher, the first pullback to near this breakout level would present a relatively low risk buying opportunity. However, I should point out in the Morpheus crypto portfolio, we're still long Bitcoin from our entry and now looking at about an 8% gain so far. We're going to continue to trail that stop higher as we're able to with Bitcoin. Now, the other scenario is that if this current breakout attempt stalls, we could get a pullback. If we get a pullback, look for major support right around the 27,500 level. This prior high from September 19th would now be support. If we get a dip down below, that could present a relatively low risk buying opportunity if we get a dip down to the 27,500 area. And the other scenario is that we may actually get just a bit of a sideways consolidation, which is known as a correction by time as opposed to a correction by price. We could get a bull flag type pattern where we kind of drift lower or move sideways for the next week or so, and that would be constructive price action as well. It would give us a solid base of support to buy from. But for now, price action looking really solid and continuing higher as we speak, the price moving higher above this prior swing high. So definitely Bitcoin looking pretty positive here. Now, keep in mind, we do have to be aware of significant resistance levels from these prior highs and this prior basic consolidation. Notice here, we had about several weeks of price action right around the 29,000 level that was formerly acting as support, and that's going to be resistance now. If we continue higher, do expect a bit of resistance around 29. In fact, we may look to sell our Bitcoin position into strength if we get a move to that level and look to re-enter on a pullback. We've also got resistance all the way up to from 29 basically all the way up to the 31,000 level. So going to take some volume and definitely some time, maybe a pullback or a bit of consolidation to get above these levels. But for now, definitely in the short term, we could get a pullback, but intermediate term, the trend has changed. And more importantly, we've broken out above this downtrend line. Maybe in our last video, we highlighted this downtrend line from the highs, and we broke out above that yesterday as well. That's why we had that big move. So a lot of exciting things happening here on a technical level. Again, intermediate term trend is definitely bullish, although in the short term, we may see a pullback. So let's go ahead now and take a look at Ethereum and some altcoins that are heating up and could be on our radar for potential buy entry in the coming days. Until recently, Bitcoin was leading Ethereum and Ethereum was lagging. But over the past couple of days, Ethereum has definitely been showing relative strength to Bitcoin. It's been increasing, but on the daily time frame, notice that whereas Bitcoin is above its prior high from August, Ethereum actually has paused after running into resistance right at the 1748 level. So we're now seeing some rotation back into Bitcoin while the Ethereum and the altcoin market takes a break. Actually, today, when we ran into this 1748 resistance level, we made a judgment call to lock in profits on all of our altcoin positions in the Morpheus crypto portfolio. So we sold all 5 positions for nice gains, made a 27% gain in SOL, SOL, and a 16% gain in INJ, as well as several other positions. So we wanted to take the profit, sell into strength, and we'll look to re-enter leading altcoins on a pullback where we can get lower risk entry points. But Ethereum, one scenario we may see here again is, like I mentioned with Bitcoin, we could see a bit of sideways consolidation. We'd want to see a volatility contraction and the price action tighten up, which could build a bit of a base, possibly even like a little bit of a handle here to break out above this 1748 level. As with Bitcoin, a pullback would be okay. If we get a pullback to the 1670 area, you can see here this was prior resistance from this base. So any pullback to that level would present a relatively low risk entry point as well, or a breakout above this level. But again, we want to see a bit of consolidation to build a base of support. It'll make the next breakout level more likely to stick. Now, Ethereum itself has been acting well, but leading altcoins are really heating up. And when we go into a new altcoin season, often you'll see major gains and relative strength in top altcoins, blowing past Ethereum. And that's what we're seeing now. It's really interesting how the market has changed. Just 2 weeks ago, you couldn't get a rally to last more than a day in any altcoin. And now we're getting some big gains without any pause. So we went from not being able to hold up more than a day to basically a week of straight gains in Ethereum. So again, we don't chase. We look to take profits into strength in a case like this. And now we simply wait for the market to catch its breath and look for lower risk entry points in the leading altcoins. So let's take a look at some of the hot altcoin breakouts over the past couple of days that could be on your radar for the next opportunity to buy on a pullback. Nearly every altcoin has been rallying over the past week, which means that it can be a little bit challenging to find the best plays that have the most relative strength. But what we're looking for is the altcoins that broke out on big volume above key resistance levels and looking for a pullback entry in those. And ideally, we're also looking for altcoins that have solid fundamentals, because those are the ones that typically will show leadership in the next bull run, especially former leaders. And SOL was a former leader, had a big run, about 1,000% run in the 2021 bull market. And looks like SOL is back. We bought SOL in the Morpheus crypto portfolio back on September 17th. We bought it when it popped above its 10-day moving average and broke out above this short-term downtrend line right here. And we set a stop so that if this move above the 10-day moving average didn't hold up, we'd be right out. But we held, we consolidated, and finally broke out above this 50-day moving average. And we just sold earlier today, right around the $24 level, and made a 27% gain on a 2-week hold time. Now, typically, we'll look to hold through pullbacks like we did this first time. But now SOL and Ethereum, as I mentioned, with Ethereum running into that resistance level, it was a good time to take some profits. Not to mention SOL was approaching some resistance just above the $25 level. So even though we've exited SOL, it is one of the strongest cryptos in the market right now. We're going to look for a potential pullback entry. A pullback to the 22 area would be an ideal re-entry point. There's a bit of support here around 22. So we'll be looking potentially for a bull flag pattern to develop or a bit of sideways consolidation in SOL. So definitely SOL should be on your radar for a potential pullback entry. or a breakout entry if we form a bit of consolidation. Next up is Link. Link is an old school large cap crypto that was a leader in the 2021 bull market. And notice how Link has been showing relative strength ahead of the rest of the market. While Ethereum and Bitcoin were chopping around sideways, Link was already trading steadily higher for the past several weeks. So really showing increasing relative strength, and also notice how the volume's been picking up. Link is really looking good for a pullback entry point. And as far as where to buy on the pullback, well, we need to wait and see how steep the pullback goes. But the general idea we're looking for is a pullback to somewhere between the 10 and the 20-day moving averages. Currently, that would be somewhere between the 710 to the 760 level. We may get just an undercut of the 10-day moving average. If we got just a one-day undercut and then a reversal bar, we'd look to buy above the high of the next day, back above the 10-day moving average. If we get a little bit of a steeper pullback, then a pullback to touch the rising 20-day moving average would present a relatively low-risk entry point as well. So definitely monitoring Link on our radar. As always, we will send a trade alert to subscribers of Morpheus Crypto with our exact entry and stop price if we spot a low-risk entry point in Link. But for now, Link needs to catch its breath. It is running into some major resistance here, right around the coming up to the 850 level. So at the very least, we'd want to see a couple weeks of sideways consolidation or a pullback. Now, remember, we also do a top-down strategy where we look at the longer-term charts and work our way down. And what we really like about Link is the weekly chart. Take a look here at this weekly chart. We'll notice that it's really been in a sideways range for quite a while. We can see here basically the upper channel of that is right around the 850 level, and then the lower channel is right around 530 or so. So since May of 2022, so for basically 16 months now, Link has just been trading in a sideways range. Now, on one hand, you could say it's got relative weakness, but it also has held up and didn't move lower when Bitcoin and Ethereum did, and now it's one of the first to rally back. So what really excites us here about Link is not a short-term pullback right now, but a breakout above this 850 range could really set in motion a massive rally because of the fact that the longer a base builds, the more powerful the eventual breakout. So Link is on our radar both short-term and also for a potential breakout above that 850 area. So keep an eye on Link. Definitely one that could be a leader in the coming days, especially as the bull market starts to shape up in the altcoins. MKR, Maker, is a large cap DeFi crypto that's really been showing amazing relative strength. In fact, about a week ago, before Bitcoin and Ethereum broke out, notice how Maker broke out to a new 52-week high. And one of the few cryptos in the market that's actually was trading on a new 52-week high while Bitcoin and Ethereum were near their lows. Now, it's a little bit out of sync with the market. So when Bitcoin and Ethereum were rallying the past couple of days, MKR just moved sideways and consolidated. But definitely looking for a potential pullback entry in MKR. Take a look at the weekly chart. We can see on the weekly chart that we've just broken out above a major level of horizontal price resistance right around the 1300 level, broke out above the prior swing highs. So any type of pullback to this area around the 1300 level could present a relatively low risk entry point in MKR. We're also keeping an eye on AAVE and COMP in the same sector. RUNE, Thorchain, is another altcoin that's been showing stealth relative strength. Notice how Thorchain broke out to a new 52-week high, just like MKR. Just yesterday, broke out above a nice base of consolidation on increasing volume. Notice that big volume in early August that really told the story of the relative strength. Big accumulation volume, followed by lighter volume during the consolidation, and now we've broken out above the base. Again, if we zoom out to that weekly chart, we can see here again that this corresponded to a big breakout on the weekly chart as well. So any pullback to the $2 area could be in play for potential pullback entry in RUNE. INJ is another relative strength leader that was a former leader in the last bull market, and we just sold INJ for a 15% gain. We bought INJ when it first broke out above this initial downtrend line a few weeks ago on the 12th. And when we broke out above this downtrend line, just like with the Sol play, we set our stop and we broke it out to a new swing high and we sold into strength today right near the highs of the day. And again, we did that because we're seeing the resistance level in Ethereum. And if we take a look at the resistance of INJ, we'll also see that we've got a major resistance level right around 815, just above the current price. So INJ, notice that it's above its 10, 20, and 50-day moving averages. every altcoin we're looking for now should already be above its 10, 20, and 50-day moving averages, showing relative strength. We also have a crossover. The 10 and 20-day moving averages have crossed above the 50-day moving average, so they're lined up. That's the start of a new intermediate term uptrend. By the way, we noticed the same in Bitcoin, where we've got this bullish crossover. So we'll update you more on that in our next video. So INJ, looking for a potential pullback entry anywhere to like the 760 area, or again, a bit of a handle or consolidation. And then we'd look to buy the breakout above this horizontal price resistance. So currently, SOL, Link, MKR, and INJ are some of the top relative strength altcoins on our watch list for potential pullback entry, but we're continually scanning the market for hundreds of top trade setups and looking for relatively low risk entry points with a high risk reward. And we continually update our members of Morpheus Crypto in the chat room as to the top trade ideas with our exact entries and exits. If you're not yet a member of Morpheus Crypto, head on over to morpheustrading.com, click on Crypto Picks, and get started today. Join the MTG tribe, and let's make some profits together in the crypto market. See you in our next video.